You're actually live.
Yeah, I said,
Like
I said,
realism.
I said the thing.
Yeah, but you never differentiate whether you're actually live or other.
No,
You know, you
I
gotta
did.
come
I literally
face.
said, that the title card was up. I said that.
Don't remember you ever saying that. Don't remember you ever saying that. Did you hear him say that, EJ? Don't remember him saying that at all.
My
Yeah, see,
mama.
EJ didn't hear you. Did he?
I,
EJ
I,
didn't
I
hear
don't
you.
want to.
I
I don't
told
want
you
to.
guys. I told you. We're live, by the way.
Oh, man.
we just having this
I don't
weird.
know, man. I don't know, man. Two people saying you didn't do it. I don't know.
I
It's
ain't
two
say
against one.
nothing. I ain't say nothing,
Hmm.
bro.
Well, look, man.
All right.
Let me go get a
People gonna
point.
think something wrong with you, man.
What's the greatest colloquium campus in existence? I'm here with the boys. The super, what was it I said last time? The mean green guy from Queens? Was it that?
Yeah.
Oh no. Yeah, that works.
The mean green guy from Queens. Or was it Nas fan? Yeah, whatever. The ultimate Nas fan, the electric jolt, E to the J. And the birthday boy. It's his birthday today. He's about what, 54?
Yeah, about that.
About 54 years old. You know?
The fresh cut
Yeah, fresh cut so
that
he
he
can hide
already
his age.
had. That he already had.
Fresh cut to hide his age. That's what he doesn't want the girls to know. He doesn't want them to know they've been fucking an old man. But anyway, you have Vanguard, the not so strongest man in the universe today. I was not able to reach my usual. Well, it's not even that. It was I was lifting heavier, but I swear
Facts, bro.
I just didn't feel as strong. Just didn't feel as strong. And then I got angry that I wasn't as strong. And then once I get mad, it ruins the whole workout for me. And then I was still lifting more than like
It sounds
everyone
like a
else.
bunch of excuses to me, man.
Yeah. I mean, I did everything else. It's just that the thing I was trying to lift was heavier than I thought. It might have just been that I started way too heavy too early. Um, I don't know, man. Something was not right today. Guess my T levels were a little low. You know, I guess Raekwon is rubbing off on me, man. Too
That
much.
didn't make no
Been
sense.
talking to him.
Pause.
Been talking to him too much.
That didn't make no sense.
Yeah. How did it make no sense? Our
Cause you
T
said
levels
it.
must have synchronized. Like when girls' periods sync. I guess that's what happened. You know what to say? You ever seen those studies? They take a miscreant, like a troubled kid, and put him in a group of well performing kids. Do you want to know what happens? The
Everyone
well
else
performing
goes
kids,
down.
yeah, yeah, they become troublemakers.
Why? Because it's more fun.
Crazy
More
shit.
fun, bro.
So it's the same thing, man. No, actually, that is actually true because when I was at my most confident, I remember I started hanging out with a guy whose T levels, you guys know this guy, but we're not gonna get in depth. His T levels probably weren't all that high. And I think being around him started to impact me. And also I think it was just fear. Because I remember I was talking to these girls about it. And I was telling them how like the anxiety of approaching a random person was not as strong until I was around this individual. And then I guess I witnessed things and then knowing full well, like it would be one thing. Like let's say we're with a guy like Ghazi. I know he's gonna do stupid stuff, but it doesn't matter because Ghazi is not gonna force his way into every conversation I'm having. But this other guy, he's definitely gonna tag along. So it's like every time I'm thinking, okay, if I go over there and talk to that person, this person is gonna manifest next to me and say something crazy, and then I'm gonna look like an idiot. It just used to fucking frighten me. I was like, I couldn't do it anymore. I lost it. I don't know.
No, that's crazy though.
Yeah. So what y'all niggas been up to?
I got a cat.
You got a cat,
Yeah, I got a cat.
Mister Never have no pets. Look at that.
Yeah. I ended up getting
Lying
the cat.
motherfucker.
Anyway,
Got a cat,
yeah.
and you got
Cat's a badass, man.
the
Tried to tell
worst.
you.
Like
Tried to tell you.
cats are bitches. Cats are bitches. Okay, cats are the
Allegedly. Allegedly.
lamest
Allegedly.
animals on the planet. Man, I'd get a chimpanzee
I
before
don't
I
know
get a cat.
what. I don't know what bitch has 9 lives. I don't know what
Cat
bitch has 9 lives.
cats suck. Okay, cats suck. Cats walk around because they're tiny as fuck, and they be bullying shit because they know
They be
that things
bullying
aren't
shit.
gonna hurt them. They know that things aren't gonna hurt them. You see these big ass dogs. The dog is like, just get the fuck away from me. The dog could murder that thing in 2 seconds, but every time it lets it get away, and that shit just gets me so mad. Because there are so many people like that in real life. Cats remind me of them short ass Napoleon complex ass motherfuckers walking around starting trouble with people. It's like they bank on you being too nice to do anything to them. They bank on it. But every once in a while, the big guy, I remember I saw a video of this skinny kid bullying this fat guy, like a big fat guy. Fat guy gets pissed, picks him up, slams him with the force of the gods. The guy just hits the blow and it's over. He tries to get up and he drops back down because the kid hit him with so much force. He cracked the fucking planet in half. Like if you saw the video, I looked
Oh
at that
yeah,
video.
I remember that video. I remember it. Like it's literally this tiny little thing messing with this
Yeah.
guy. He's like not doing anything, and then you could just see the moment where this guy's had enough. He like drops his bag, picks this guy up like nothing, just. And all the comments were like, "Oh no, that guy could have killed him." This and there's like, the man's before was wailing on him. He was like, and doing all this type of shit. And I'm not saying he deserved it, but he deserved it,
Yeah, that's what cats remind me of. They just be getting away with shit. It just, like I said the other day. I think I said this on stream too. It's just so fucking annoying. Someone's dog does some shit. They kick the dog in the fucking stomach and start fucking yelling at the dog like, "Don't you ever do no shit like that again!" Like there are people in videos cursing at their dogs like the dog is understanding what the fuck you're saying. It knows you're mad, but it's confused. Like, why the fuck are you angry at me? Like, I was bred from the wild and you have me trapped in a living room.
I told people, I was telling Ref about why there's so many wild cats out there. It's because people just enjoy seeing cats more than they enjoy seeing dogs.
Exactly. A cat walks up, scratch him in the face. Oh, he's so adorable. He's always scratching me.
Like if a cat scratches you, you're just like, oh man, I must have made it angry. A dog just growls at you like, oh nah, take that to the vet. That needs to be put down.
And the thing is, if you leave dogs alone, like I've seen stray dogs plenty of times, they just walk around chilling. I just look at the dog, acknowledge its existence, and leave it alone. I don't try to walk over and pet it. Yeah, because it's like if I try to walk over
things, bro.
I walk over and try to pet that shit and it gets scared. You already know what's gonna happen. It's gonna rip my throat out or something.
Go try to befriend a stray dog. Go do that real quick.
If you have food, you can definitely do it. They're not
rip the off and take the food.
No, it's gonna. You go up to the dog if you have food and offer it food. It's probably gonna be chill. A lot of stray dogs are just escaped dogs anyway. Yeah, escaped pets.
A lot of cats are they were bred out there, because like I said, people just feed the cats and then they'll just have mad litters. Hell, and then bro, there are so many people who just let their cats outside. Bro, stop letting your cats outside. And then be like, oh no, Muffin is pregnant. Stop it, bro. Come on.
Yeah. Cut that shit out. Why Muffin is pregnant. We know why Muffin is pregnant. And people be doing that with their dogs too. There's someone's dog that happened to. But they be spaying their dogs to make sure that shit don't happen.
You should be spaying and neutering all your pets. Because
I'm sorry.
You're not a professional breeder, bro.
I know.
You don't want them to catch STDs.
You're not a professional breeder. Don't let your dog be out here just making more dogs, bro.
Well, first things. There's no such thing as a fucking professional breeder. All they did was breed a bunch of fucking mutants, and then have the mutants walking around with all sorts of health problems and health defects. Like that's not no professional job. They just did whatever the fuck they wanted, and then made their standards the fucking premier standards. They're like, this is how you breed pets. Well, why is that one's eye? That his left eye is bigger than the other one, and he's wheezing. What's going on?
Yes, that's pugs, bro.
And he's wheezing.
That's literally pugs. Pugs have literal, there are so many breeds that just have literal health problems, and it's because they were just bred wrong. Well, not wrong. They're like, oh, I think this is cute, so I'm gonna breed it this way. And it's like,
exactly.
You just kind of fucked up his airways.
That wheezing is hereditary. You feel me?
No, it literally is. Like pugs, like they're short-faced dogs. They literally have breathing problems because they're bred that way.
Exactly. Wild. Yeah, that's why the whole concept is weird to me. That we I feel like I was talking to a girl about this. I think in the future they're gonna look back at the way we just took animals and domesticated them and made them into our friends and just had them walking around on leashes and breeding them and shit.
Well,
They're gonna look
no,
at that stuff
dogs were
with horror.
domesticated a long time ago, and they weren't
Yeah,
as goofy as it is now.
as of now, that's what I'm saying. They're
You
gonna
know?
look back at what we're doing now and be horrified.
So yeah,
They're
like,
gonna
I
like,
wouldn't say the domestication process is the issue. It's like
yeah,
it was after that. Because they were
exactly.
already domesticated. It was then. It stopped being like a, oh, I want this companion to help me do something. To I wonder if I can make that shit kind of short but have a long
Yeah,
body.
yeah. And I wonder if I could put it in an elf costume. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna put it in an elf costume. The dog's struggling to get out of it. You're laughing and recording it, and it's
Yeah,
just like
no,
that
it's
kind of
like,
shit is crazy to me. I'm
yeah, I don't
sorry.
like seeing that shit either. Where it's like, all right, the dog's clearly uncomfortable. Take it off. Just take it off.
Jesus,
Your
Jesus.
like your dog does not have the personality of like other dogs to just sit there and wear the costume, bro. It's okay. Just take that shit off.
Man, 90% of dogs do not want to be dressed up in no goofy ass costume. You know,
But people do
90%.
that shit to their kids too, right? Like your kid
Yep.
will be dressed up in an uncomfortable outfit. Your kid's like, "Mom, I don't like this. Dad, I don't like this." And they're like, "Oh no,
You
nah,
look
it's
cute.
cute.
Shut
You
up.
look, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That shit's wrong. That shit is
You look
wrong.
cute. Shut up. Girlfriends do that to their boyfriends.
You're just a pet, bro.
Girlfriends do that to their fucking
You're
boyfriends.
just
They
a
put
pet.
you in it. Yep. Yep. But you know what kind of pet I want?
No,
No, I would never actually do it.
I want to hear about this.
I would never actually get it. But having a chimpanzee in my imaginary world, where I'll never do this, but having a chimpanzee would be so fucking cool. But I'm not doing that shit because I'm not trying to get my head knocked to the moon when that chimpanzee
You
gets a
ever see
little mad at me.
someone pops a
Yo,
balloon? It's over, bro.
yo, chimpanzees are fucking. They're beautiful, majestic creatures, but they're also terrifying. You know, oh, and those fucking orangutans, the ones with the flat face. Oh my god, those motherfuckers. They're strong.
Tangs, man. Is it tans or tangs? Orangutans
Dang,
or
dang.
orangutans?
I just said it real fast. I just said it real fast.
They're pretty tan, so it's okay.
Nah, scary ass motherfuckers, but
They're
cool.
chilling, bro. They're chilling.
Yeah, cool to have one in your head. Like you imagine your head, it's walking around in a costume, it's talking to you. It's not
Just
talking to you.
Just talking to you. Kind of
This
imagination.
this man, he already just skipped to the Planet of the Apes, bro.
I turned to Shaggy for a second. I was like, I want a talking pet. No, but
He's talking
you
to
got
you, bro.
your orangutan in a looking neat in a bow tie, walking around. It's chilling. It's playing chess with you. Shit's helping you cook. It's on your shoulder. It's just in my head.
Orangutan on your shoulder.
Not orangutan. Those things are too big. But
Jesus,
like a
peace. I was like, how big is you?
that's
Orangutan.
that's
Be on his
me
shoulder.
when I reach Arnold Schwarzenegger status, and I can finally.
Arnold will be on his shoulder, bro. Arnold will be on the orangutan's shoulder. Them things is
No, the
massive,
orangutan
bro.
would be on Mike Tyson's shoulder.
Them
It'd be
shits
on
is
Mike.
massive.
But yeah, it's like it's so cool in your head. But then you think about it in real life.
You think
got
about
this
every
dangerous
instance where it's
animal.
like, primate pet went a little insane.
Yes, I would never actually do it, but in my head, it seems really cool. But I remember at my old job at Food Dump, I used to joke, but it wasn't a joke. I was dead serious. That the job, that trying to act like this job was so special was dumb because you could train chimps and orangutans to do what we were doing. And every time that people would laugh, I'm like, I'm dead serious. I was like, if you just show the chimp how to put the thing in the tote and how to press a certain button, it will be able to do it. And it'll probably be better at doing it than than any human. I was like, you could probably have that chimp running like 6, 7 stations by itself, and it would just do that shit mad fast.
You know, their memory capacity is too high, actually.
Exactly. Like, have you ever heard about that chimp that was helping a train conductor? Like, it was helping him run the train and knew what it was doing. Isn't that crazy?
No, I don't remember that.
Yeah, they tested it because they were like, oh, at first they were trying to take it away because like this is dangerous, but then he demonstrated that the chimp knew what it was fucking doing.
Oh yeah, it was flipping the switch. It was flipping. Oh yeah.
That shit is so funny to me. Chimps or you ever see the video they gave the chimp weed and then it was like or the other one where they gave a bunch of chimps alcohol and they were like slumped.
Oh, it was a
They look just
baboon.
like you. Oh, baboon.
Jack the
Okay. Oh, it
baboon.
was a baboon. You're right. It was a baboon. IR baboon. But anyways, before I keep
They're
sliding
going
down,
fake. Look like a bamboo, but
Shout out to Jake, bro.
I
Shout out to
look like a
Jake.
baboon. Jesus.
It's not Black History Month no more. But
You
damn.
call the black
You
man.
see how fast they switch up on you, bro? See how fast? Yeah. It's barely not even February anymore. It's barely not even February anymore. He already say shit like that, bro. That's crazy.
You call a black man a baboon.
That's crazy.
That's
That's crazy.
Black man a baboon. And I don't know what universe. I guess I don't know what universe baboons have fucking bone structure and a chin, like, and then they fucking twisted their. You must be talking about some cartoon baboon.
we gotta pull up a side by side one day with just Vanguard's headshot and the man.
Yo,
Mm-mm.
this man, he's
Came out of nowhere.
March people out their real colors, huh?
Give me a second.
They had to hold back for too long.
Yeah, nah. I mean, I looked up a baboon. I don't know, man. I don't know, man. This looks. I think there are other animals I could see, but this is like. I feel like if you said another animal, I could see it. I don't know what animal, but I'm sure there's some.
What would you compare yourself to?
We're not going down this route, bro. We're not going down this route, bro.
Everyone looks like at least one animal, I think. Like you can find an animal.
I hear pet owners look like their pets sometimes,
Yeah. Like EJ, I would say like you have like I can see a ferret kind of thing, like a ferret, or maybe.
I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this, bro.
Yeah. You ever seen Impractical? You have seen Impractical Jokers. That's what they're always calling Murr, ferret.
Because of the bald? He bald? The bald spot on his head?
No, they just say he looks like a ferret. They just say he looks like one.
I think it has something to do with the way his head is shaped.
Yeah.
Let me see what a ferret.
He doesn't look like a ferret at all, but it's just it's funny. But anyways,
Get the party started.
Okay, so today's topic: how long do you think Raekwon's gonna be able to hold on to his hairline for? If I had to bet, I think that thing is going on for 2 more days, and then he's gonna be back to to the jagged edges, the Grand Canyon.
I don't know. We might have to put together a wager on that one.
now I actually do want to put a wager to see how long until his hairline because it stops being fresh. I'm gonna say I give it 2 more weeks. 2 more weeks and it's done. 2 more weeks and it's gone.
All right.
Yeah. What about you?
I'll go a week and a half.
Damn.
You can have it. All right. We'll see. In 2 weeks' time.
On my birthday, Black History Month just ended.
All right. Now let me get serious. Let's get serious, okay? All right. So we're gonna be talking about entertainment today. This is something I've been thinking about. I have very strong opinions on this, so I'm just gonna drop my opinion. You guys say what you think. I'm of the opinion that entertainment should not reflect the real world, and it doesn't have to. And I think it's really fucking stupid. Like, I don't think, like, I won't, like, if you want to make a movie that is based on real life experiences and meant to be grounded, sure, some of those are interesting. But I feel like when people act like films, like there's a prerequisite for a film or a show that has to reflect the world, the contemporary world we live in. I'm just like, what the fuck are you talking about? It's like, it's fiction. Fiction is meant to be an escape. Fiction is meant to be an example of your creativity. So if all you do is model the real world, like, sure, you can be creative by modeling the real world, but I don't think it's necessary for a piece of fiction to actually resemble the real world. Because like you even read critics and they'll like be criticizing something for not being realistic. And I'm just like, this is a fucking movie. It is a movie.
This is a movie about spies. What do you mean it's not realistic?
Exactly.
This is a movie
totally spies.
And James Bond fucking falls out of a fucking moving car, gets up, switches outfits, and then blends into society. But the part that wasn't realistic was he likes his martini shaken, not stirred. Come on.
Yeah, so to me, I just feel like fiction. I actually really like when fiction has like like they're literally telling you this is not the real world. They give it like an otherworldly kind of thing. Like who's that guy? Wes Craven. Not is his name Wes Craven?
I don't know.
I think his
You
name.
said it.
He does a lot of films like that. I think his name is Wes.
Yes, what's Craven?
It's Wes Craven. Yeah, he does a
Nightmare
lot of
on Elm Street. Yeah.
No, that's not. Wait a minute.
Your blood
That's not.
Yeah, he
clot.
did Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Nah, but who's
Man,
that?
what are you talking about, man? What are you talking about? You quick to dismiss something I got to say. Come on, man.
Yeah, Wes Craven. That's not
Just
who I
change the
meant.
title. This episode was called Beef.
You was wrong there. You was wrong.
Yeah. Nah, yeah, Wes Craven was that guy. But who's the damn? Where is he? I think he has a very similar name. Hold on, give me a second.
But what was your larger point?
Yeah, I'm
Hey,
trying
what's
to
your
make
point, man?
I'm going to make it. I need to find this guy's name before.
All right,
Wes
all right, Ray. Well, what
Anderson.
was that?
Anderson. There we go. Fuck, confused him with Wes Craven, another amazing director. But Wes Anderson, his films have a very otherworldly kind of feel to them, and I really enjoy when films do that. Like when they take the real world, but it's clear. They play around with the lighting and things and give it a like a non-realistic look. Like that's actually why I enjoyed Zack Snyder's superhero films so much because like you take stills from Batman versus Superman, not so much Man of Steel. And Man of Steel has like a typical kind of
Justice
you know
League. Yeah.
but yeah, Justice League or Batman vs Superman, those stills look like they're from another world. Like it looks like panels from a comic book because he exaggerated the colors and things like that, and he did that kind of stuff on purpose. And like people were like were criticizing him for his characters not being realistic, and like they're like oh like criticizing for its drama, and I was like it's a fucking comic book movie. Like the way he even talks about the characters when he was making the movie shows you the kind of mindset he was in. He was imagining them as if they were Greek gods. Like these are gods fighting and beefing with each other. So that's why they act the way they do because they're not meant to be real people. They're archetypes. So I don't know. What do you guys think?
I
Yeah.
think everything you said is wrong, and this is why. You said it. That's it.
Okay, good job.
Anyway, no, I agree. Like I think there, to a certain extent, things should. What's the word? I guess like I can understand why they want to reflect the real world, but to a certain extent, for my what is it to suspend disbelief for that to happen, I have to. There has to be a certain set of rules that you are establishing in this universe, because otherwise, if you're trying too hard to make it like this is the exact same world and universe that we live in right now, you just do some shit, and I'm like, well, that wouldn't work, and these are the reasons why. In fact, these are like in your universe's world, these are the reasons why, and that's why I don't watch a lot of live action television because they try to go for that. This is like this could actually happen type shit.
Well, stop pretending it's not just that you immature and like cartoons.
Anyway,
bro.
like a lot of times they really do that. Like this is real and it can happen just like this, and then they do the goofiest shit. I'm like, which is it? Is it goofy or not? Like, are we being goofy or are we being serious?
Yeah, as long as the universe has some internal consistency to me, I don't mind. I'm literally like that with anything. You can make a dumbass argument, but if your argument is consistent across, I will accept it. I'm like, okay, at least your argument's consistent, you know? Yeah. What about you, EJ? What's your opinion on this matter?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it doesn't need to be, but when I honestly find myself liking the things that are more grounded in entertainment.
Yeah.
I tend to favor that over the fantasy or push the boundary type of entertainment.
Yeah.
But even when you want to go like completely different universe, uh, a complete departure from reality, like Ray was saying, there has to be an established set of rules that follows those rules that you set in that separate universe. And I think that's where I feel like that's where things get out of hand, where like they'll create a fictional universe but then they don't follow the rules, and then their defense is, oh well, anything can happen in this world. But it's like, people that are fans of whatever that universe is will retcon that kind of entertainment and be like, well, this was established that
Yeah.
these things have to go in a certain way. Like you can't just get off by saying, oh well, it's not real life, So I think I think they do have to do a better job. And I'm not using a specific
Yeah,
example, but just any person that creates like fictional entertainment or a fictional story, and making sure that there's clear rules to abide by. Um, unless you don't make that known from the jump, and you're like kind of it's established from the beginning, like yeah, anything can happen type shit. But like I said, I like the more grounded stuff. Like that's the reason why I recommended movies like Juice and Fresh. Like those are movies that to me mean more. Like I like the grounded in reality. Like oh, this could really happen type shit. Even with the live action television shows, I know sometimes they exaggerate certain parts, but I really enjoy something that I could relate to. Not saying it's a needed element, but for me, it's something that I need. In
yeah,
terms of entertainment, it's something that works for me. I can't really find myself in a character that's given these different responsibilities and has this position of power that I don't know in a fictional world. It doesn't make sense to me, but not that it has to make sense to me, but so that's just my thing, like you know
yeah. Um, yeah, yeah. For me, I mean, like, I like grounded stuff sometimes. I like really out there things other times. But I like when something will have like a realistic story, but still play around a lot with like I said, like certain shots and like lighting and that kind of stuff. Like there will be a scene where the lighting is just it's like it's set up in a way in which it would not really be in real life, and they do that because they want the scene to look good, like they want a certain aesthetic. I enjoy that kind of stuff, or for example, when I watch old films, very old films, like when I was watching Manchurian Candidate, um, I enjoy the way the characters talk, in which they have like a very deliberate way of saying things, very deliberate cadence, which now would be considered overacting. But as I'm looking at it, I'm like, this is how you should be acting. Like you should be communicating the emotion as much as you can, because you're not just we're not just looking at, oh, like for example, a scene has to be interesting. So in order to be interesting, sometimes you have to exaggerate things, or you have to do things as you're acting. Like when you're watching a Quentin Tarantino. Oh, for example, you're watching Brad Pitt, where he's always eating something in scenes, where he's acting. Or you're watching let's see, what's another example? Trying to think of examples where
Fight
actors do,
Club.
huh?
Fight Club.
Oh yeah, Fight Club is like, yeah. But it's like just little things, like they're smoking a cigarette. They don't have to be smoking a cigarette in the scene, but it just helps with like making the scene look cool or
To
look good.
illustrate the point, probably. Yeah.
Exactly. So like I like things like that. And then like nowadays I feel like they will try too hard. Like one of the most annoying things they do now is they try to give characters, like, I guess, like realistic dialogue. It just sounds stupid and like canned, and it sounds like things no one would ever say because they're trying too hard. Like I don't know if you
No,
know.
no, actually, I agree with that. Because like when people try to go like the very like cliche route, it really does sound fake because you've heard it so
Mhm,
often. Like in The Last
mhm.
of Us, there was a scene where like main girl's like in trouble with like a teacher or something, and the teacher is like berating her. Berating is probably a strong word. It's like just like disciplining her, like giving her the speech, and like you're already expecting all the things she's gonna say, but they chose not to do that. They like were like, no, in this specific situation with these specific characters, he's going to say these very specific words. It wasn't just like I know you're a smart kid, you have potential, like the fucking shit you pull out your ass whenever some fuck up is just fucking up.
Yeah, some
Yeah,
good toilet paper.
Yeah, like
yeah,
it actually made the scene like matter a lot more. And then when the character like if they do or do not go with what that guy says, it makes it hurt more. Like if if they're like, yeah, I will do better, and then you see them fucking up, you're gonna be like, come on, man, Brian believed in you. Like you're like literally sitting there and be like, come on, what are you doing? Like,
yeah. Another thing I hate that they do a lot in fiction now that I think is really annoying. Like it's one thing to reflect the times and to reflect social issues, but now it's like nothing can exist without trying to reflect the exact same social issues. there always has to be some element of racism or discrimination in everything. Or like
Funny you brought
Donald
that up.
Trump, don't get fucking Donald fucking Trump. Every single work of fiction had some kind of analog of Donald Trump in it. It's been that way for like the past 5 years. Every time there was a villain, they'd have him say some Donald Trumpish thing. Like I remember Young Justice, and this shit was so out of character. Like Lex Luthor does not talk like this, so it was weird. Like Lex Luthor gets accused of something, and he appears. He's like fake news, fake news. That's what he says as a reference to Donald Trump, and it just didn't sound like something Lex Luthor would say.
Yeah, Lex
I
Luthor
was
is
like,
not that kind of guy.
exactly. I was like, he's very suave. He would have said something much more smooth, especially in the Young
Much
Justice
more
universe.
eloquent too.
Right.
Like he wouldn't say fake
Exactly.
news. Like
Like
those
never.
are that's just a phrase that wouldn't even cross his mind.
Exactly. Like I remember one of the best scenes with him, right? Is I remember in I think it was at the end of season 1 when he's there in the when they tried to set up the team and like it was a ruse and an Aqualad walks up and is like, Lex Luthor, you're under arrest. You're coming with me. And then Lex Luthor just goes, he goes, you're gonna have to speak to my lawyers. And he just walks away. And then Mercy starts shooting at them.
Yes.
And that shit always kills me.
Like
He's
this
like, you
man
can
is
speak
the
to my lawyers,
PR.
young.
He is the perfect PR man. Like he's not gonna say something stupid.
Yeah. He's like, you can speak to my lawyers, young man. And he just walked away. He called him young man all the time. Every one of the superheroes, he called him young man. Oh man, it just really illustrated the kind of guy he was. Like he just really was not impressed. What were
He probably called somebody older than him a young man.
Yeah, he does. He
I can see
probably
him
would.
doing that.
He probably would. He gives those vibes. Oh my god. Yeah, he was really good in that show. Like very composed and like, you know, yeah, man. What were you gonna say, Ray?
Oh yeah. So when you brought that thing up, it was funny because you're right. Like if any show exists today, it has to like immediately reflect like the politics that are going on or whatever thing is going on. Because I posed a question to a bunch of people since the Last of Us show is doing popular. I was like, yo, what game would you want to see have gotten a show? And someone was like Horizon Zero Dawn. And I was like, with today's climate, they would have done something where like the AI deliberately messed up or like it was like, yeah, like Age of Ultron shit where it's like, gotta get rid of humans. For real. That's what AI does. We get rid of humans. And I was like, that would have just ruined the game for me. Right? Like, it would have just ruined it. Well, the fictional show. And I was just always tired of it where it's like, all right, here, let me watch the show. And then it's like, let me tell you about all the problems that are going on in this show that are happening to you right now. I was like, nigga, bro,
Yeah, happening in the real world. We're gonna make illusions. They always think they're so fucking clever. And it's like I'm like I remember when I'm watching The Boys, they kept making allusions to Trump. And then they would reveal what the illusion was. And like people were pointing out the illusion, like, oh my god, look at this thing. There's a reference to when Donald Trump said this. And then they kept acting like it was so clever. And I'm looking at it like, dude, every other show was doing the same thing. I was like, it's not like this isn't a very creative decision. If every other fucking show is doing the very same thing, it's like they're just come on, like you can pull that out of your ass. And I think it's especially annoying. Like if you've created a fictional world and you're sitting there, like I mean, like when I say fictional world, I mean like a real fictional world. Like I mean, even to a lesser extent, like let's say it's a show like The Sopranos. If you're trying to reflect the political climate of now as an analogy, and you're supposed to be making a show about like fucking, I don't know, let's say the Russian mafia in the '60s, I would be like, you're obviously a very lame-brained person with no imagination, because there are 1,000 other avenues you can go with a story like that before you try to reflect current political climate. But for example, right? I'm saying like a deliberately fictional world. Like this takes place in like another fucking dimension. Like they're on another planet. They got magical powers. And they sitting there having analogs for Trump and analogs for this one and analogs for that one. And it's like, yeah, we really wanted to reference what's going on right now. I'm like, why? It's like this is supposed to be a mystical land, right? Why the fuck are you reflecting the Earth? I was like, I don't understand. Why are you doing that? Crazy stuff to me. I don't know. What do you guys think of that?
No, I agree. It is really weird because I remember there was a post, I think it was back on Tumblr like years ago, where people were just like, Oh, it's like I think there someone wrote something, and someone typed it would be so unrealistic for all these races and species getting along together. And someone eventually was like, "Yo, bro, it's my fictional world. I cannot have racism if I don't want racism." Because they were like, "Oh man, it's so much more interesting. Like if there was conflict between the races." It's like, come on, bro. Like, is that the only interesting conflict to you? Racism? Like that's it?
Yeah.
Like, come
First of
on,
all,
like,
even
come
if you
on, bro.
want, yeah, you could just have conflict within the races if you really want conflict. Like the elves can be fighting each other. They don't gotta be fighting the orcs.
And even if it could be like I'm fighting the orcs for a very specific reason, not like I'm fighting that orc because he's an orc. Like what else did he
Now,
do? He's an orc, bro. What the fuck? What do you mean? That's
yeah,
it? Yeah,
they, yeah, yeah, they actually do that a lot. They're
they
trying
do that
to,
a lot.
and
It's really
yeah, the race.
annoying.
Yeah,
Kind of
I don't know.
boring.
What do you think, EJ? I know you don't consume a lot of fantasy, but do you think it's equally stupid to try and reflect the real world all the time in fantasy movies or even like science fiction?
I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I don't really know it from the fantasy perspective, but it does bother me when I see it from like the stuff that is grounded in reality, try to take that leap and incorporate something from the political realm and or not even the political realm, but a hot topic issue or
Right.
something that is been circulated every day and talked about.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
one of my favorite comedies is Always Sunny, and towards the later seasons, they actually started doing that with like the newer episodes. I guess to, keep it fresh, keep it current. But it takes away from the identity of the show when you do that. Like they had an episode about gender neutral bathrooms. And I guess, to the naked eye, someone that hasn't really watched the show, if you're giving them that episode to watch, I mean it's a good or funny take on that issue, but it's not natural. It feels like a forced um, a forced thing that they want to put in their show. It doesn't feel natural. It just seems trendy. Like when South Park did it, it was natural to their identity. Like everything that was going on, they wanted to reflect that. That was the whole purpose behind it.
Right.
You would never say South Park was like trying to chase a conversation or trying to get you to think bigger. I mean, yeah, they were, but at the same time, they wanted to make jokes out of it. Like they
Yeah.
they wanted to reveal how foolish some of the things were going on, and like take that to the highest extreme. But it seems like sometimes these shows they want to put that in there to end up having you have this perspective on this conversation or form an
Yeah.
opinion about it.
Yeah.
Um, Even like the Life is Strange game that I played, the last one, they accused the game trying to push like a LGBTQ agenda, which I didn't really agree with. I mean, because the main character, she is lesbian, but it's not like they're trying to push that down your throat throughout the story. Like it comes up, but it's not integral. It isn't until like I played the side mission for the game, which is like the DLC. It's like a DLC part of that game when you beat it, and then you see that agenda being pushed around because it's like this girl, she works in like this music store, and she has like the store covered in like LGBTQ posters, flyers, and all types of stuff, and she has to like prepare for like awareness week. It's just like, all right, this is goofy. Like, this is goofy. This is goofy. Like, come on. Then I could see somebody having a problem with it. Like, but cause in a way it could come off as a form of brainwashing. It could come off as they're trying to get you to agree with them. Like if the
Yeah.
writers or the creators have their own beliefs and
Yeah.
they feel offended by what's currently going on and they want to put it into their
Yeah.
art and
Yeah.
start getting people to think like them. So I think it should be left out if it's not a part of the natural identity of what
Yeah.
going back to what I said earlier about certain rules being established. And I know shows go through this all the time where like as the show evolves and gets more popular, they want to change what it's about. Like it could initially start off as something that you come to recognize and come to love about it, but it doesn't want to stay the same because it's that kind of concept or whatever it was about, it gets stale. and people want to see it evolve into something else or develop into something else. And I'm usually the guy like, if it's not broke, don't fix it.
Yeah,
But I
same.
also see the other side of it is like I don't want to see 10 straight seasons of the same thing.
Yeah,
But my thing is if you're gonna shift or change, don't do it to cater to like some kind of political thing or pander or try to force something. Like it should be a good shift. And that's where
yeah,
things tend to decline because they don't know what they want to evolve into next, and they see the easiest thing in front of them, which is let's talk about a hot topic that is generating a lot of controversy in this country. And I know if we put out an episode like this, it'll get, views or, obviously everybody has their own agenda as to why they would put something out like that in the first place. But I feel like that the main thing is that they know it's popular and they know a lot of people on Twitter, on YouTube talking about it. So I think it could be corny at times when a show that I've come to know and love starts to try to have these deep conversations about something going on in the world for no
yeah,
reason.
yeah.
But that's just me though.
Yeah, I mean, like I remember Arrow had like a gun violence episode, and it was like, and I think Flash tried to do the same thing, had a gun violence episode, and it got a lot of complaints. I thought it was an all right episode, but it did feel very unnecessary and weird. Um, it was just randomly in the middle
It's
of the
weird that the
season.
Flash is talking about gun violence. It's like, can
Yeah.
you even get
Well, I
shot,
mean,
bro?
yeah. I mean, Arrow, it made a little more sense because it was around the time Oliver Queen, I think he ran for mayor and then he won, right? So he was now mayor of Star City. So now, having like a gun violence topic makes a little more sense if you're now having politics factored into your stories, right? Like
Yes.
he's literally a politician now, but it was still kind of lame, right? But yeah, that's what you mentioned is part of the problem where it's like, for example, when they try to put spotlights on characters, now you cannot put a spotlight on any kind of character that is like marginalized because the others have ruined it and left a bad taste in everyone's mouth. So now if you try to use characters that like let's say you want to write a story about a Mexican immigrant, right? And you just want to write a story about a Mexican immigrant. He's just part of the story. Like I don't know, he just came. Like let's say you want to write like a western and it just happens to star. Like you want to write like a modern western. Like I don't know if you guys remember Justified. Hey, you guys probably seen that show, like of that modern western kind of premise. Let's say you want to do something like that, and your character's a Mexican immigrant. People are gonna automatically assume you're trying to do some woke shit now because those other people ruined it. They would take characters and, like you said, try to push an agenda, try to get people to like them, try to pander certain things. Like, and even if something was a small part of the story, they would lead with it. Like I remember Lightyear, right? Lightyear comes out. They keep writing articles and they keep pushing the idea that there's a lesbian couple in this movie. There's a lesbian couple. The lesbian couple's on screen for like 2 seconds. They're on screen for like 2 seconds, and like because of that shit, I'm pretty sure that made people not go see that movie. It was a big ass flop, but people looked at it and they just like, oh, another fucking woke thing. Well, I'm not watching that. They just wrote it off. It wasn't even, Lightyear. I don't even. It wasn't that amazing. So I'm not. I don't
It
think it's
was a
that much.
it was just an okay movie. But yeah,
Yeah, it
no,
was
like
all
I
right.
remember the big controversy about that lesbian scene, and I was literally watching the movie and I forgot that it had the
Right.
controversy in it.
It's not even forgot. I didn't even notice.
Yeah, same. I didn't notice. Like, because like from the way that they were talking about it, I thought it was gonna be a whole big
Yeah,
thing,
that was their
and
own
then I was just
fault.
like, "Are you dead ass?" Like, she kisses her wife for like not even a millisecond on the screen.
Yeah, and look what they're doing with the Little Mermaid. There's this article where the stars of Little Mermaid are talking, and they're like, "Oh, it's a little different from last time. Like, it's no longer her giving up her whole life for a man. Now she has a little more other reasons to it as to why she did." I was like, so like I'm reading the article, and I'm like, oh, okay, so your big change is making the story exactly the same because in the original story, she didn't just give up her whole life because of a man. She was obsessed with the surface world and just
Yeah,
happened to find a guy who was handsome and charming from the surface world.
yeah. Like she didn't give up for Eric, but she wanted a reason. Like Eric was just the gateway into the world,
Exactly.
right?
He was the cherry on top.
he,
Yeah.
he but it was also just like this is a surface person and I think he's cute. It was like I'm going to talk to this person and now get access to everything because she couldn't just go to the surface world as a mermaid, right? She clearly didn't know anything, right? Like when she's there with Eric in the castle, she's like using the fork as a comb, and he's like, no, and then, she's learning, and by the second movie, she's like a regular woman now. She's like, yeah, I've just been here. I understand what a fucking comb is now.
Yeah, but it's crazy that they it's like we were talking about how we're these people. I just don't know, and it's crazy to think that they've never consumed The Little Mermaid. Like The Little Mermaid is one of Disney's most popular movies, so for them to not know what the fuck they're talking about is weird. But that's what it really seems like. Like I said, when I was talking about why I couldn't rewatch Scooby Doo, it's like you clearly get the idea that the people who made this movie, they're like, there's a difference between like irony and ironic jokes about something from a fan who actually enjoys the content than there is from somebody who just doesn't understand it. Because
Yeah,
like we see their jokes, like their joke versions of a character just come off as a caricature rather than a character. Like the characters in that movie just weren't acting like how like I'm just like Fred would never say or do any of these things. I was like this is weird.
yeah, no, like I literally understood that when I was watching Velma, because I was just like, oh, so Mindy just didn't like them. Like, she didn't like this shit. Like, whoever wrote Velma, the HBO, they do not like
Well,
Scooby Doo.
I don't think it's that they don't like it. I think it's that they don't understand it.
I,
And it's
I, I
everyone,
feel like they don't like it. Like,
well, because part of it is like remember I said this a while ago, that these Hollywood execs, or like not even Hollywood execs, well yeah the execs too, but the writers and stuff, they literally think all this stuff is kid stuff and they think it's
yeah,
lame. They pretend in like promotional material, but they think all this stuff is like
yeah. I was
bigoted.
like, you guys
And,
don't like this. You didn't
yeah,
want to do this. Like you just tell watching the episodes, like y'all didn't want to be here, bro. Like y'all
yeah.
filmed this in.
Exactly. Like
Like,
when they were writing Fred, there was like, yeah, the original Fred is kind of problematic and kind of lame. So we're gonna do something else with him. Like that's what they do.
yeah, no, bro. It's like, which Fred is problematic and or lame? Like, which
Yeah.
one? Oh,
Well, even if you
the
want to
live
say
action
Fred,
one,
yeah, if you want to say
that
Fred
one
is
one.
lame, if you want to say Fred is lame, you can even do that in a way that's more interesting, as they've done. Like one of the things is like the original Fred is very clean cut and very wholesome and like corny, right? So what do? They dial up the wholesome corniness in all the subsequent material. So in like a lot of the newer movies, he's very corny and wholesome, and well, then you get to Mystery Incorporated, and he's a little weird, but he's wholesome. He's weird in a
Yeah,
wholesome way,
yeah.
right?
This is nice. It was nice. Anyway,
Exactly.
but
Yeah, but that's a part of the problem. It's like entertainment, I think, suffers from this, especially when it comes to like fiction in general. Like, let's say not even like in terms of more realistic fiction. When it comes to like fantastic fiction, they have this burning desire, I think, to be taken more seriously. So that's why they'll try so hard to reflect the real world because they want people to look at it and go, "Wow, this thing is so thought provoking." And it's like things can provoke thought to me without reflecting the real world. They can just show ideas that were interesting. Like especially with science fiction. 'Cause I read a lot of science fiction. When you read old science fiction books, the ideas you come across in those books are very interesting sometimes, like life-changing ideas that have nothing to do with the real world. Like it's really versed in whatever setting this guy is trying to create, but he's also bringing forth these very interesting ideas. And you can have politics in something without trying to heavily reflect the real world. Like for example, in the Ender's Shadow series, right? It's all about war and politics, right? But it's very interesting because the writer Orson Scott Card he was more inspired by like ancient war and like the game of Parcheesi and that kind of stuff. So like he was trying to go for that vibe when he was writing this thing. Like it's like in the in the Ender's Shadow series, the map is being rewritten. Like that that's the kind of politics of war that goes on in those books. It's not like like fucking like let's say I decide to make a you guys remember that show the Snorks? It's like, oh I'm gonna make a
yeah,
snork food. And then you just have a bunch of fucking like the Snorks. We live on land and water. we don't identify as a human. We're something else. You have a stupid ass line like that. It's like that's the kind of writing people do now. That's what they think politics is. It's like, oh, I'm just gonna reference whatever the kids are talking about on TikTok. That's reflecting the real world to them. That's the other thing. When they try to reflect the real world, they're never actually reflecting the real world. They're just preaching to a certain section of the real world. They're just like, okay, we're gonna put a bunch of LGBTQ stuff to reflect the real world. I'm just like, like, okay, this is where I'm gonna start to sound. People are gonna accuse me of being fucking outright. You look at the
Yes.
LGBT community; they probably make up 1%, if that, 1% of the global population. Every time you turn on a fucking TV show, there's 1,000 gay people. And so it never makes any sense to me. I was like, dude, why are they in everything?
I
It's like,
mean, what if they're just in San Francisco?
yeah, I don't know. Yeah, they must live in a universe where it's just like there's a lot of them.
Anyway,
But
but
yeah,
nah,
go for it.
I agree with what you were saying, because it was really refreshing watching the Last of Us series, because I thought in the beginning that they were gonna really hammer in this climate change thing, because the reason the infection even started is because temperatures have been rising, and I was like,
Yeah,
damn, are they gonna like beat us over the head? It was like, hey guys, if you don't like do climate change, like we're all gonna die in the zombie apocalypse. But no, it was just like, yeah, that happened anyway, and like this story just continues. I was like, oh,
yeah,
okay. And like literally, I'm 7 episodes in. I don't feel like there's been an agenda pushed down my throat. There are two LGBT couples in the thing, and I've literally watched their stories, and it wasn't like it was just like, this is just a story, bro. Like, yeah, like Bill and Frank, they met, they had a nice time, they had a great date, they fell in love. I was like, yep, normal ass story. Did not give a
that's,
flying fuck.
that's another thing. Like, let's say we want to take the LGBTQ community in itself, right?
No,
Um, like let's say you want to make some fiction about them. The conflict is always them as opposed to everyone else. Like it's like the real world is trying to force us down. I mean, the outside world is trying to force us down. Like they're the fucking X-Men or something, right?
they are
But
the X Men, bro.
but I was like, why can't it just be like these two guys are in a relationship and the conflict is their relationship, like they're beefing with each other. Like maybe they get into an argument and they're not feeling like he's like, oh, I don't feel like Jack is like, I don't feel like Jared cares about me. Jared might be cheating on me or
There
something.
was some of that in that Bill and Frank episode
There
where
you go. There you go. They never do
it
that.
was like, all right, they have a little relationship, then it was like, oh, it gets a little rocky, then you see them older. That was just like I said, like when I said it was a regular ass relationship. All the
Exactly.
things that they would have done for a hetero couple, they did for this homosexual couple. And I was like,
Yeah.
great,
Yeah.
that's
Instead,
nice.
when they be portraying, homosexual couples in fiction, it'll be like, oh man, his father doesn't like me because I'm gay. Oh man, I wish the world could change. It's
And it's like, what if his father
like,
don't like you because you're an asshole?
yeah, what if you just suck?
Like, like you're just a
What if
bad
you just
kid, bro.
like maybe you just might be lame. Maybe he just thinks you're ugly. Maybe he thinks your sis son deserves better.
Also, yeah, what if it's just like, it's not that he doesn't like you because you're gay. What if he just doesn't like the idea of his son dating anybody?
Yeah, what if he's just like, damn son, you dating that nigga? You could have chose somebody more handsome.
That would be
He's like, you know
hilarious,
what?
bro.
He looks at him. He's like, you know what? I'm straight now, but back in my day, ooh boy, the guys I would get, they were some pretty boys. Like imagine he starts going on a rant about his like
I
his.
honestly could see that happening. Not today, but one day.
That'd be so funny. He starts talking about the sexual revolution, how you just sleeping with anybody. He's like, yeah, you kids think you're cool now. Oh man, back in the day, we
Back in the
just as
60s.
long as he's like back in the '60s, if it had holes, it was getting filled.
You're
That would
taking it
be
too far, buddy boy.
tell me that would be a
That'd
quotable
be
last word.
hilarious.
If you put that in a piece of work, people would be quoting that forever. You would be quoting that forever. Oh
Anyway,
man, I would die. I would die if
we're
I was
never getting anywhere. We're never getting out the hood, bro.
no, no. But you think you're gonna get out of the hood with that? The last. But yeah, it's like they really just like they try so hard to like. It's like they dehumanize people in a way by trying to portray these stereotypes. So it's
I
like
mean,
a
yeah,
black,
like those token black
yeah,
characters, I always hated them.
token black, token gay, token trans, token
Token any
anything.
tokenized
They'll-
character, it's just like
Yeah,
it's bad. It's
heck,
just
even
bad.
token white characters, like
I don't like those
token
either.
white.
I like don't enjoy
Yeah,
any token characters because I'm just like, yo, bro, people are people. Like they don't get to
yeah,
just be these one
yeah,
dimensional things that go
exactly.
off a
Like
quota.
you're watching a black show. I used to see this in black shows all the time, and it would annoy me. I'd get bothered watching a show with black people, and there'll be like one white person. They'll either try to do the thing where this is one of the ones that are down. They understand,
Yeah, like they're
and the
talking
white guy.
ironics. They got the baggy clothes.
No,
Like,
no,
listen,
no, they won't do that. Not today, anyways. A long time ago, if they did that, it would be to make fun of it. Like if you look at the movies in the 2000s, they
oh yeah,
loved
true,
making fun
true.
of wiggers.
Uh,
Yeah, they love making fun of wiggers.
but
But
when I said
I'm
baggy
saying,
clothes, I just meant like they're like wearing sweats. Like
yeah,
they'll
sure.
wear a tracksuit.
I'm
That's how
saying
you
this white.
differentiate between white people and a white person.
No, I'm
You,
saying like this white person, like it's not even really the fashion. It'll be like they have all the correct opinions and all the correct social issues. That kind of white, token
oh,
white shit is annoying. Or the white person is there to exist to show that racism is a thing.
it's just like it's
Like
either
that,
they agree with everything or they disagree with everything.
exactly. That shit is so lame. It's like I feel like shows in the past were so much more tasteful with how they demonstrated issues. And then on top of that,
No,
they what were you gonna say?
no.
Oh, they were much better at it, and it didn't dominate the show. Like you look at That's So Raven, right? Where people often point, like, be like, "Oh, fiction is always reflected politics." But you look at That's So Raven. One, this wasn't political; it was just a social kind of thing. And you have the racism episode, and the way they did that episode, right, is it wasn't like this larger treat, like I forgot how to pronounce that word for a second. This larger statement on the world as it is now. It was just like
This one
you know,
black person kind of sucks.
exactly. It's like racism does exist, and then Raven got reminded of it. Like she was fucking surprised. She'd never encountered anything like that. Like this shit. And then what did Chelsea do? Chelsea was also horrified and was like, "This is bullshit." Right?
Indeed.
It didn't become this whole thing where white people got to do better. Like, do you see what they did that with the Proud Family? Oh my fucking god! Did you see what happened
The
with the Proud
the new
Family?
Proud Family.
Yeah,
I heard they had a colorism episode, but I don't watch that. I
they
don't
had
watch
an
it.
episode about reparations, and they did a play, and it was like they was doing spoken word,
Yeah,
and
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. I'm good.
but the funniest part about it is I forgot what the white girl she was holding a crazy ass sign, a sign that was just
What's
so
her name?
dumb. It was
Zoe, right?
Zoe, yeah. She was holding a sign in it. I'm trying to see if I could find the picture of the sign she was holding. Oh yeah, I found it. Yo, this shit was crazy. This is the world we live in, bro. Like this is this is
Still not
nuts.
atoned for.
Oh, you found it?
Yeah.
I was about to show it to you guys. Show it to the audience and EJ.
Um.
That's so dumb. I was like, why the fuck is she holding that?
Yeah. I don't. I didn't watch the episode, so I don't know why she's holding it. But
Well, like she's supposed to be she is the token. She's the token in that scene. Cause like, what has Zoe done? Zoe's not a fucking racist. Zoe's
you
not
remember
racist
the
at all.
Peanut movie? She broke it down, bro.
Yeah. But yeah,
Zoe's just a
it's
weird girl. That's her
exactly.
whole thing. She's just weird.
Why do I see Spike from Bebop in the image? Same voice
It says
actor?
something about the voice actor. I guess he spoke out or something.
Oh, endorses. Okay.
Oh god, of course he does. That's what they all do. Oh, showing so and so celebrity says racism is bad. And it's like no one's saying that. Like recently, Young Ripper made a video, and it was very funny. He was just laughing about it, but his audience was frustrated with it. Where basically someone was saying the same thing. Young Ripper, one of his biggest stances, the thing that everyone knows him for, and really put him on the map, I guess. Not on the map, but the thing that everyone knows him for is his hatred of tokenized characters. He despises tokenized characters. He thinks it's the laziest, lamest thing ever. Because like he reads a lot of comic books, so especially when it comes to black characters, he feels like there are so many great black characters that deserve spotlight and instead get overshadowed by white's version of Superman and white version. I mean, not white version. There is a white version of Superman. Black version of Superman and black Captain America. It's like when you got characters like Brother Voodoo, you got fucking what's his name again? Bloodwind, and all these other interesting characters like Steel, who deserve it. Well, Steel, you could call him a tokenized character technically. But you know, like,
it was cool.
yeah, but like other characters, right? Black Lightning, is for example, very cool character. I like Black Lightning a lot. But basically, someone was talking about how when they take a character and they just turn them black, it's lazy and it's borderline disrespectful.
Yes.
It's like they're saying we don't deserve characters of our own. And like you just pointed out, like this is something he's been saying for years, and people give him no end of hell for it. Like they never understand what the fuck he's saying either. Like he'll have these debates with people, and this is why you should never argue in bad faith because you'll look retarded. They try to have their gotcha moments because when he wrote Isom's a black character, so they'll be like, "Oh, so you're against token characters, huh?" He's like, "Yeah, I don't like tokenized characters." Like, "Well, that's kind of interesting because wouldn't Isom be a token?" And he's just like, "What?" He's like, "No." They're like, "Yeah, well, I mean, you know, he's a black character," and yeah, it's like that's not what token means. He's like, token does not mean black character. He said token means a token version, a tokenized version, a character created to fill a certain box. Like well, that's what it means in a larger point. But when he's talking about it, he means like a version of a character created to fill a certain box when he's saying it. And he's like, Isom is not that. There's no prior Isom. There's no a prior Isom of another race. Isom is just a black character. But they always try to do that shit with him. They really don't get what he's trying to say. And part of it
he
is
doesn't understand what he's trying to say.
They don't want to get it. That's the thing. They don't want to get what he's trying to say. But yeah, he was pointing that out that like people are starting to wake up and find this shit annoying. The tokenized representations of various groups and ethnicities. Yeah. I don't know. How do you feel, EJ, about like tokenized characters where it's like, because I mean you're Hispanic, right? I mean I think you said you're mixed, but we're gonna use you as our Hispanic stand-in today. You'll be our token Hispanic for today.
Man, you know I don't represent that, man. You know
But
that don't mean nothing to me.
but
Biologically.
it would be annoying to you, right? If let's say someone was like, "We made this for you," and
I
it's
don't
like,
know what the definition of a Hispanic man in my mind looks like. I don't know. I don't identify with it, so I don't know. There isn't like a way I want to see Hispanic people being represented. I don't have that time.
I'm trying to remember what it was, what show it was that was doing this. It was so. Oh fuck! I remember now. But it was another show that did this shit too. America Chavez and Doctor Strange. How she would say things in Spanish for no reason.
That was goofy. That was goofy.
It was weird because it's not like she was like Hispanic. She was like she was from a different dimension, right?
Yeah.
Guatemalan. She was like Guatemalan or something.
I was like, why is she saying random things in Spanish?
Well, I
like,
guess she was just Hispanic from a different dimension. But it
well,
was
they've done this in other things.
Yeah, no. It was definitely like it's not even like in the same way that someone who speaks Spanish and English at the same time. Like it was just like, I'm gonna say this sentence. Dale. Random Spanish word.
Yeah. I was just like, I've never heard anyone talk like that in my life.
Yeah,
I was like, the one heavily used Hispanic phrase they actually use, you guys didn't say once. DK. If they had
I think that's that's a very New York thing.
Well, they had her say DK, I would have saw it to me. I'm like, there you go. Yeah, that bitch is from Dyke.
You're like, oh, she's from the Bronx, huh?
Yeah, bitch is from 181st.
I saw that she's from 125th. Oh, okay.
I saw that bitch last week.
Oh man, she be hanging around them Harlem kids. Oh damn.
She was going crazy in Dykeman.
Yeah.
Crazy out there.
I mean, hey, she wait, first before I say this, give me a quick second. Let me.
Oh, I don't know what you're about to say.
Quick
Oh
though.
my god.
We're gonna make sure. And then if it's safe, I can say
Just the next subject, man. Next subject. Next subject.
Anyway,
Next
No, okay,
subject.
it's not. Forget it. It's fine.
oh
next
my
subject.
god, cuties
That's
all over
crazy.
again.
There's no way. That's not true. That is not true.
What?
By the way, when you were bringing up good examples of like having those kind of what you would deem important conversations. I mean, they are important conversations. Not deeming them important. They are important conversations, but it's just when is it that you integrate that in a show, right? And you were bringing up the That's So Raven example, where they were able to do it in an effective way, where it wasn't about the world at large, but it was just more about that particular person. I remember Static Shock did that with Virgil,
Rick's
and
dad.
his friend, his dad is racist or was racist. I think by the end of the
Richie's dad,
episode,
right?
yeah, by the end of the episode, he was like, yeah, like I almost lost my son because of the way I think, like his son was not fucking with him. So
His dad was also just a bad person in general, but
yeah, and it did have that moment where Virgil's dad was like, what's the saddest part? Your son is a great kid. It felt like one of those elementary classes. I'm not gonna lie.
it did feel like a after school special. But
like your son is a great kid. You can't even realize it because of how far.
yo, bro, you know what I would have to. I would really have to sit down and look at myself if someone started talking to me like I was back in like middle school, bro, like some fucking after school shit, and I would really be like, what have I become?
I remember there's a
type of lecture, bro. That's
I remember
crazy.
that old comedy troupe Dormtainment, right? They had an episode making fun of sitcoms. Not an episode, but a skit making fun of sitcoms. And in the skit, the specific episode they were making fun of was, or like they kept referencing, was that episode of Fresh Prince where his dad comes back and like abandons him again. Um,
A great
uh,
episode.
Yeah, so like it was like they kept trying to represent shit, and they were doing all the stuff you're saying. Like the lines are like, sometimes you got it, like it's all the really dramatic, but they were really hamming it up. Like Will's mother, or yeah, because I think they did call him Will. They just called him Will again. Will's mother in the skit, she died, right? And every time they'd mention her death, it would be a different way she died each time. Like, yeah, when she died in that car crash, they just kept getting ridiculous over time. It's like when she died in that ape uprising, or just, it was just when she died in that interplanetary war. But anyways,
I like the way Fresh Prince was able to speak on the issue like that.
Yeah,
It didn't feel like after school specialish. Like it felt like
what?
down to earth.
Fresh Prince?
the Carlton episode. Bro,
Oh,
I
which
think
one?
when
Wait, which
Carlton
one you
was
talking about, right?
The Carlton episode was really good because it was making a great point. It could have just been an episode about
You
Carlton's
talking about with the
friend.
gun?
no,
Talking about the gun?
when he was like he wasn't the right kind of black. And
Oh, that
he
one. That was a good
he was
episode.
rushing the frat.
People don't talk about that enough.
Yep.
Yeah, people don't talk about that enough. So like, yeah, that's another thing with the trying to, like I said, when they reflect social issues, they only reflect the popular ones.
Mm-hmm.
None of the less popular ones are ever reflected. Like everyone's always a caricature. Like, for example, I was watching Hassan Abi, right? And my God, these idiots just have no frame of reference. They don't understand what a conservative is really like. They only know what Hassan Piker describes
Yeah, I was wondering. I was like, there's a lot of Hassans out there, huh?
Hassan Piker, because the guy in that video, right? The guy in that video, the video I showed you guys, who was like saying he chased the girl and acting like it was normal. When you look at his fucking, first of all, looking at any streamer's comment section is always a great way to lose faith in humanity because those people are real idiots who need to touch grass.
They're
Like their
terminally
brains,
online, bro.
yeah, terminally alive. But they're in the comments are like, typical conservative. Oh, typical L conservative. And I was like, what conservative on the fucking planet? I've never met a conservative in my life who talked anything like this guy. I was like, what the fuck is wrong with these people? Like, is this really what they think all conservatives? And they kept
Yes.
making Hassan Piker kept making jokes like that, like conservatives they all think that way. I was like, what? I was like, if anything, I feel like conservatives would make fun of a guy like this. They'll think he was a loser and a weirdo.
I mean,
Like, heck,
yeah, it has nothing to do with the political ideology. He was just a weird person.
exactly,
Like he was
exactly.
an isolated incident of just being
Yeah,
what the fuck, you know?
yeah. And that's why Milestone is a great example of how to reflect social issues in a good way because they're very balanced with it, right? Like generally speaking, Milestone is written for a inner city black audience. That's what I'll say. I won't even just say black audience. So like a lot of the world is clearly in those trappings. Like I don't know. I don't think EJ knows anything about. Well, you know about Static Shock. Static Shock came from the Milestone universe. He was like their most popular character before he got the cartoon, right?
He had the
And
exaggerated swagger of a black teen.
jeez. Well, in the Milestone universe, as you know, the way superpowers even come to be, although other superpowered beings are shown as existing before that, but a lot of them are mystical, so they have mystical abilities. But anyways, the premier way there's a big boom in superhumans is because of the Big Bang. So there's a gang war. Over the course of the gang war, the police use that tear gas. It's laced with this thing called Q juice, mutates, and well, it's worse in the comic. Like a lot of people just fucking die. Like not like some get superpowers. Though I think the ones that survived are the ones who got powers, and only very few of those motherfuckers survived. So imagine like 1% of the people in that gang war lived, and they all became mutated freaks. So that's that's what happened in the so like a lot of the heroes in the Big Bang universe are like former gang members and that kind of thing. Not a lot, all of them, but like a good amount of them, or they're like cops, that kind of stuff. So it's built from like trying to reflect the inner city world as it was for a black youth back in the 90s, but they were still very balanced in how they portrayed issues. Like you have like I'll give you an example. Like one, racism doesn't even really come up overtly at all in the story. Like it's shown
Most of
that they
them are
don't
the same inner city people anyway. So you grew
exactly
up
like they
around each
don't give
other anyway.
exactly like there's a little bit of like I think like a black character, I think it's Holocaust says something racist about a Hispanic character, and but Holocaust is an asshole. He's just a bad person, right?
His name's
Um,
Holocaust.
yeah. His name is
Like you are
Holocaust.
not a good character.
Yeah, I remember. I think I said that to you. I think I said what I found so interesting about him is that in order to choose a name like Holocaust, you'd have to be a real psychopath. I was like, it just shows you that his head is not in the right place. That he literally chose that name. But anyways, uh, the it's like showing that people don't give a fuck about the people in Paris Island, right? Which is pretty much their version of the Bronx. Like that. And you can argue that it's because of the high black community, but it's more like a wealth distribution thing. So yeah, they don't give a fuck about Paris Island. There's that aspect. But like, villains can be black, they can be white, they can be Asian. They're not trying too hard to fit anyone in a certain demographic. And you have characters like Icon, who's literally a conservative. Like he's portrayed as a conservative. And he's meant to like have conflicts of what's the word I'm looking for? Like he's supposed to like conflict. What's the word? There's a word.
Conflict?
Oh, he's a foil. He's a foil to Raquel, who Rocket, because she's more liberal minded. And it's also the idea they're trying to put in there because Dwayne McDuffie is an amazing writer because if you want to talk about a guy who knows how to weave social issues into something in a way in which it doesn't dominate and ruin the story, Dwayne McDuffie is your guy. Like it's a shame that he's gone, and it's a shame that what they
No, he
call
gone.
Milestone now exists because I remember I was telling a girl about this. I had her dying because of what I said. I was like, it's supposed to be a tribute to him, but it's mad. It's wild disrespectful. I was like, the quality of the story is just not up to par. So to me, it's not. It's not a tribute at all. It's like a fucking middle finger. Um. So, anyways, uh, yeah. So like they like it's supposed to represent like Icon literally represents like the older generation. That's why he's been alive since the fucking slavery times. Like he's supposed to be the older generation versus the newer generation. Raquel represents the newer generation, and that's why they have so many conflicts. But they reach understandings. Like he has these amazing issues where they go back and forth and talk about things and still have action. Because a lot of the problem with like current comics is they'll have characters literally just panels and panels of characters having fucking conversations. And I'm looking at this, I'm just like, oh shit, yo, EJ, you know how you said you don't want to read fights? Like I'm saying, you imagine buying a comic book, right? It has a fucking superhero on the front. You open that shit, it's him sitting at a table talking the entire book. They dead ass do that, bro, and it'll be mad lazy. Like I remember there was one. It's the same static image over and over again, but the speech bubble just kept changing, and it's just like that shit went on for like 3 pages.
The
I
guy
think
who
it was
made
Venom.
Invincible made fun of that.
Oh yeah, he did. He did make fun of that. They point out that was bad. And I was like, this
He's
is
like, don't you
fucking
find that lazy? Like
stupid.
they literally like talked about it. Like it was just 9 panels of the guy's face. Just no.
Yeah, yeah. Bad writing. So it's
Yeah,
like
did you know Dwayne McDuffie real quick? He's related to Michael Key. I didn't know that.
he's related to Michael Keaton.
Yeah. No, not Keaton. Key from Key and Peele.
Oh, I was about to say. I was like, what? That nigga's mixed. I was like, he's related to Michael
Yeah.
Keaton.
Nah,
Makes sense to
Michael
me.
Key.
Oh,
I didn't know
shit.
that.
He's related to Michael Keaton. Wow.
Hmm.
Oh, I think I did see something about that. Didn't he find that out recently? I think that was a recent thing he found out about. I think he didn't know that until like a couple of years ago. I think I saw something with him doing some DNA test, and it showed that they had like common ancestry. Hold on, give me a second.
Imagine doing
But
that DNA test, send out an email, it's like, yo, bro, we're related. And he's like, don't ever contact me again.
oh my god, what would you do? What would you do if you did a DNA test and found out fucking Hitler was in your family tree?
Bro, if looking the way I look and I find out that Hitler was in my family tree, I'd have to go and find every alt-right Nazi post ever and just be like, look at this. This was your king? This is your king?
Okay, but imagine like just takes any equally terrible person from history and just turns out you're fucking related to them. Some guy who was like had child soldiers in Africa. It turns out you're his second cousin.
Would make sense though. It's like, the world's not that big.
Yeah, but yeah. But one more thing
We're
on
not
the
that big.
topic of how Raekwon gets no bitches. No, I'm joking.
Indeed.
One more thing about this topic. I remember I was watching this like I
Oh,
don't know.
he's his half brother, my bad. Half
He's
brother.
half brother? Damn, that's close.
Yeah, that's cool. They probably didn't know then. I was
Maybe not.
watching. My sister was watching this show. It was like some black show, and like, oh my god, it was so terrible. Like I'm overhearing it. This is like this attempt to try and write your characters and make them sound like real people, and like it's like they were having a conversation in the show, and it just sounded so lame and flat. Like it was just them going back and forth. And it was like, oh yeah, like it just sounded so flat. I was like, this is not an interesting conversation. Like one of the things they were saying didn't even sound interesting. Because like when you're writing something, you have to write in a certain way. Your characters have to talk. Like the things they say, and not all the time, but the things they say have to sound cool. You get what I'm trying to say?
Mm-hmm.
Like it has to sound meaningful. Like that's just how you write, you know? That's how you write well. So like if you just have like I said, this conversation is going on and on. I guess it's supposed to be an emotional conversation. And it just sounded so flat and monotone. Like the actors sounded so monotone. The things they were saying just sounded weird and generic. Like you were saying how like when they like when they're writing a scene where a character is supposed to be inspiring another character and they're just saying the most generic bullshit and it just takes away from the impact of what they're saying. That was exactly what was going on in that scene.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like there's just no impact, no energy. The dialogue was just terrible.
Like, imagine they introduce kryptonite. It's like, yeah, you see this? This is going to take away Superman's powers. This is the only thing in the universe that will take away his powers, and this is the key to my plan, bro. Like this little rock right here. This is going to stop him in his tracks. Like, like imagine they were just saying that, and in the background you see Superman fighting a big thing, and it's just Lex talking in a tiny bubble. You just be like eventually later in the comic, Lex is gonna pull out the rock, and Superman's going, oh, and you're gonna be like, what the fuck is that? What's going on?
Oh jeez. Now I want to see a video like that where it's like Superman spider a robot in the back is like, oh, you see this rock right here? This rock right here, it came from another planet. It's gonna tell you, it's gonna get rid of Superman. This rock right here. And it's just like some Rick and Morty shit, just delivered very terribly. And like maybe when he pulls the kryptonite out, Superman's like, ah man, I don't feel so good.
Oh yeah. Superman's like, oh man, I think I lost my powers. You'd be like, wait, what? Yeah, no, I don't think I can fly anymore. What? Why? I don't know. I feel that I can't fly anymore. Like, do you feel sick? No, I just feel like I can't fly. I don't think I could lift the car over my head anymore. In fact, I think I can just do what everyone else can do now. Just
It's like, jeez, that sucks.
Jeez, Jimmy, I don't think I feel so good.
I don't think I feel so good. But imagine Batman jumps down from the alleyway and he's like, I'm here to stop you.
Why do you do this? Because I'm Batman.
I am the night. Nothing. Just I'm gonna stop you. Or is it jump out? That's bad. Don't do that. Stop doing that. That's bad.
Hey, you over there! Stop doing the crime.
Stop doing the crime.
Say, I see you robbing that lady. I'm calling the. No, I am the cops. Stop.
I am the cops. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, they will try to like write something so realistic, and it'll sound exactly like what Ray was doing. It was like, this is bad. Or when they're trying too hard to, like I say, like make the character sound socially aware. And real people talk like this too, which is crazy. You ever met somebody who used a lot of buzzwords, a lot of terms?
Yes.
And you can just
yes. Well, that's every business kid you've ever met. After they work the job for a year, they're just using a whole bunch of words that they have no idea what the meaning of those words are. But they're like, I need to say these things or I'll get fired.
Yeah. It's like that in fiction too. They'll be like low key. They're like low key, that's a whole vibe. I'm trying to think of all the
Oh no, bro. I literally just saw that in My Hero where this girl was, I think it was deliberate. Because she just said a whole bunch of buzzwords that was like to show that she's like a hip girl. Like, this is the girl who's like all into like today's culture. And I was just like, what the fuck did I just read? Like, she was like, I can't remember it so bad. She was like, that's such not a vibe. Totes LOL, no cap. I was like, what the fuck did she just say?
He's like, come again? I understand.
And like I said, I think this one is deliberate because I think even the people her age look at her like, what the fuck did this bitch just say?
Yeah. They're probably trying to make fun of Americans. You said My Hero, right?
Yeah. No, I don't think it was like specifically Americans. Just because it had to be translated, so they picked American lingo. But I think they're just like making fun of that like generation in general.
Trendy people.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Like just.
Well, yeah.
Basically the TikTok generation.
Exactly. Like, never forget that Marvel released a book with a character named Screen Time.
No, I lost it at Safe Space. Yeah,
Safe Space and Snowflake were bad.
Like, I was like, yo, that's like this on the nose, and then it's like, all right, now you're just making fun of the people. Like, you can't sit here and pretend you're being an ally, bro.
I think Screen Time was the worst one. I think Screen Time. I think the name, like at least with Safe Space, you know, I can see things like the power set. I can see,
but when it's paired with Snowflake, like, cause like I agree. Like, I don't even think Safe Space by itself is a horrible name, but when you pair it with Snowflake, you're like, okay, you're just making fun of those kinds of people now.
Yeah, well,
and like his power made sense. He fucking made like shields, and he was like,
yeah, but I think he did it for other people, which is an interesting concept. Like,
I think he make shields for anyone.
Okay, cool.
I think he just make shields.
It would have been more interesting if he could make them for other people, but not necessarily for himself, because then, it could be cool. But Snowflake's powers were fucking dumb.
I don't even know what their powers are.
She threw them like they were, like, she threw ice like shurikens, I think, which was stupid. But Screen Time, I think, was the worst one, because The name is really bad. The name is like Screen Time is the most uninspiring name I could possibly think of.
Oh yeah, you were
It's
right.
like,
He can only trigger them if he's protecting somebody else.
exactly. Screen Time is a very lame name. His costume was fucking lame. His superpower is coming from internet gas. What did he even do? I don't even know what he did. I think I don't even know what
A
he did.
meme-obsessed super teen whose brain became connected to the internet after being exposed to his grandfather's experimental internet gas. Now he can see augmented reality and real time. He's just a smartphone, bro.
Lamest character on the fucking planet. Like, what possesses somebody to wake up in the morning? Yo, you know what? I got some heat, bro.
Yo,
I got some heat.
this is just a he. Like I think I said this before, but he's just a lamer version of Richie
Yes.
of Gear. Like he's just lame Gear.
Lamer version of Gear with a ripoff of Cyclops' whole aesthetic.
Yeah, he had the visor,
But yeah. But anyways, yeah, that's really all I have to say. It's just
so final
oh,
thoughts.
no. Oh wait, you got something coming over, don't you? Okay, I see now. I see. I
What?
get it now. Nothing,
What?
nothing.
No, you said you wanted one more. What other thing?
EJ, any hypothetical for today?
No, I'll go.
Damn, look at that. The moment we needed him most. But yeah, final thoughts. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't necessarily need everything to one represent real life, right? Like that's just not a thing that needs to happen. If you want to do something that does represent real life, I can understand. But like to a certain extent, you also have to realize that like you are making some sort of entertainment. Like EJ brought up Juice and Fresh. Like they did keep things very very grounded, but they were also still kind of exaggerated because
Exactly.
shit happens so quickly, right? Like
Yes.
In Juice, like that man really did go on a power trip immediately. Like
Yeah.
2 seconds. Like he gets a little bit of power, all his friends is blasted. I was like,
I mean,
it's been 2 days, bro. Like it was
even
that.
if you yeah, even if you look at the line we like so much, where like, I don't give a fuck about you. I give a fuck. Like that's not something someone would probably say in real life,
Yeah,
right? They never
like
would outwardly say that, but
yeah,
it helped sell the
like
character. It showed you who he was.
there's still an element
You
of
don't think
theater
somebody would say
behind
that
it,
in real life? I think somebody would say that.
Nah, I cannot
bro.
see
If
someone
someone
just
said that shit in real
outward like
life,
real.
like it is, it's not gonna be in the type of conversation they were having. I can see someone saying that if they were like been arguing for like 30 minutes and that was like the final thing. I don't give a fuck about you. I don't give a fuck about me. I don't give a fuck about nobody. And then they like leave.
And what make you think I'm gonna treat you better than I treat myself?
Like that's some shit you hear like a couple saying when they've been like this been building up, you know.
Like it's something someone will be thinking.
That man hit 100 real quick.
Yes,
It wasn't even like, yeah.
and even in Juice, I'm not even Fresh. Like my man's really was like, oh, it's like that came up with the fucking Lex Luthor plan
Yeah.
to take
Or
his
even
revenge, bro.
or even look at the guy he was trying to get revenge on. I forgot what they called him. Oh, Esteban. Esteban, no one acts like Esteban in real life. Like Esteban is a very suave and cool dude. You're not gonna meet an Esteban in the real world. Like, sure, they're
You'll
gonna
meet
be
people who
someone
think they're Esteban, sure.
exactly, but you're not gonna meet a guy who actually like acts like Esteban, talks like Esteban.
Yeah,
Like when he was all up on his sister and he's like looking at him, like that scene. Like things have to be exaggerated to sell the point, you
yeah.
know? Because like think about that especially, right? How is it that he just happens to walk in just as Esteban finished fucking his sister? You know, like things like that have to happen to help the plot
Yeah,
along.
like
You know,
it's like I wanted you to see this, so it has to happen, type shit.
exactly.
He stared him down like, is there something you gonna do about this? Like,
Yeah,
you
like
good,
even
bro.
that, right? Like, why did he stare him down? Like, was that necessary? No, but it helps. It helps sell the scene
Assert
and
his dominance over him.
So the
exactly.
scene, set up character profiles, a whole bunch of things is going on. Like,
Yeah,
but
yeah, definitely.
that's how it
What
be.
about you? Yeah, sorry. What about you, EJ? Final thoughts?
Um, I guess we covered all the bases really. I think I think it's important to have like for the art to reflect it depending on what it is, or for the entertainment to reflect it depending on what it is. But don't yeah, don't feel the need to like take away your ability to create or to to extend past what is allowed in real life. Um, because like Ray was saying, you can add certain things that'll make it more enjoyable than you would have thought. So um, even though you want to capture like a real concept or a real issue of something that's going on, I think there are ways where you can do it that might not be totally factually 100% accurate, but it can still tell a unique story. And then as far as like putting that into a fantasy or fictional world, I think you just have to do it in a way where it doesn't, same thing, it doesn't feel forced. You're not trying to catch on to the wave or chase popular issue. Um, and then damn, there was something else I wanted to add about that.
Mm.
Oh yeah, I think you have to do it in a way where it fits into the story. Like when you were talking about McDuffie and how he was able to weave that in, but it doesn't become the story. I think that's where they get messed up. It becomes the focal point. I think there are ways you can add that to a character or add depth where it doesn't have to become the whole thing.
Hmm.
It
Yeah,
could be a part of it, but it doesn't have to be the whole thing. It doesn't have to define that entertainment. So
yeah,
that's the only thing I would add.
yeah, yeah. I mean, like yeah, like a lot of things you guys said. Like, I lost my train of thought for a second. But anyways, like when they would write things in the past, like when they would incorporate social issues, it's like they were much more clever with it. Like they weaved it into the plot in a way in which it actually fit. It didn't dominate the story. It didn't feel forced. It felt like it was just an issue they wanted to talk about, and they were much more balanced. Like I feel like if you're going to take on a social issue, you gotta actually be balanced on the social issue. Like for example, one of the reasons people hated the Arrow episode that was about gun violence is because they actually had a very balanced take on it. Like they tried to show both sides of the issue. Like they tried to show to why people would want guns and why people would be against it. And they had an incident of guns violence happen, and that inspires the plot. So so yeah, so like that's one of the, so isn't that hilarious? Critics hated that episode because it was trying to be balanced. They were like, "Oh, it should have taken a stance." I was like, so I kept trying to explain. Like I remember I'd say this in comments. I was like, they weren't trying to take a stance though. They were just trying to talk about the issue. It's like it's not the show's responsibility to teach you what to think. The show is just trying to add some context to the issue. And additionally, it becomes annoying when like I guess they could even be token storylines. That's funny. Just that's just a random thought I just had. But yeah, when characters are introduced for a specific purpose, like this black character is here to represent all the black issues and the black stuff, and this character is here to be the stand-in for white people, and this character is a stand-in for Mexicans and disabled and all this kind of stuff. Like these just don't feel like real characters. They don't feel like real people. And like this happens a lot when they try to create like super diverse cast. And I'm looking at these cast of people, and I'm just like, I wonder how these people even fucking met. Like I'm just like, because like we live in the city, and I'm not trying to say different races and stuff and creeds don't hang out in the city, but like, come on, man. Like you look at the Bronx, your friend group is probably going to be mostly Hispanic and black. Like this is so like when they try so hard to represent this diverse group where each and every single nationality is represented, it just comes off as very forced and like not genuine. Like I remember they would do this a lot in cartoons in the '80s. Like you guys remember Captain Planet. Uh, whatever team would have like a character for every single race or every single corner of the globe. This is something they would do very
Yeah.
very often. It was yeah, it was kind of weird. It was like, how do these people even know each other? Um, and the last thing I'll say about this is the only time I've seen a character who not only spoke Spanish, but they would say Spanish randomly, and it worked. It was in Young Justice. they had Blue Beetle, and something he would say very often is hermanos. He'd call people hermanos all the time. Like for him, it was like friend, like he's calling you bro, right? And it worked because it was just like character thing. It was like it seemed like it was something that he said, just something that he said a lot. Like
Also,
it
he had an accent, so it was like
exactly,
English was like his second language.
yeah,
So it was like it made sense in that aspect too, where it's like, oh, so like he's clearly used to speaking the other language.
exactly. So like when he would say hermanos, it just felt like something he said. You know, it'd be this. It felt like the same as if have a black character. He's saying nigga, like he's calling people nigga because that's just how he talks, right? That's another thing, actually. This is something. If you want to truly represent a black character, have them say the N word a few times.
Well, it depends on where they're from.
No, I mean, 'cause even nerds in the Bronx say the
Well, that's
N
what I
word.
said. It depends on where they're from. Like if they're
Yeah,
from the
yeah,
Bronx, like if they're from like New York, they're more likely to say it. But
yeah.
if they're from, I don't know where they don't say it, but I know there's some
Nebraska.
places where they do say
Nebraska.
it.
That's good.
Like they might not say it as much. And like if they're Jamaican, they're not saying that shit, bro. They're not saying that shit.
Rosclot.
Like a Jamaican man is not just like, I mean,
Did you
Jamaican
just
from
say
Jamaica.
washcloth?
No,
Yes,
Rosclot.
yes, he did.
Rosclot.
Yes, washcloth.
Yeah, oh, I did say
Absolutely.
that. That's pretty much what it is, a Rosclot, right? But
Right.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
sure.
what it is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
but funny thing. One thing I hate when they do, they need to stop trying to represent island people and stuff because they be fucking up. Like, they be fucking up, and it's really annoying. Like I was watching Alias. The episode takes place in the Bahamas, right? I'm watching it. The niggas are talking with Jamaican accents. I was like, why are they talking like that? I was like, they're not Jamaican.
Everyone in the Caribbean has a Jamaican accent, obviously.
Yo, I was
But you
like,
thought
why
the
are they
Caribbeans
doing that?
had different accents?
Yeah, very bad Jamaican accents at that. That's the other thing that was no okay. One of them seemed to actually be Jamaican, so he was talking like he sounded like an actual Jamaican person. But it's like, yeah, I was like, why are these people talking with a Jamaican accent if they're from the Bahamas? Like, well, what's going on here? But anyways, that being said, stop trying to make stories just to fill certain social issues and to speak
Like,
to
yeah,
certain.
stop checking boxes, bro. Like,
Stop checking
I'm not
boxes.
watching you check your boxes.
Yes,
If you got a cool story to tell me your story. We'll
tell me
talk
the
about it.
story. Yeah, if your story is literally about social issues, then sure, go for it. But like, learn how to write in a nuanced way. That will make your story a lot more easier to accept and be a lot more interesting. Cause like, I love stories like that. Like I remember, I read this book called Hero that was about this gay guy, and like the way the guy wrote, it wasn't just like oh the whole world hates gay people kind of thing. It felt very relatable, and that he was struggling with this thing that he didn't want to share. He wasn't sure if he could share it, and they were kind of making analogies between his homosexuality and the superpowers he had, which he could heal. So it was just like they did it in a very. It was another example of writing about something, a social issue, but in a way that makes sense, where it didn't completely dominate the story. Like there was an interesting story there that I really enjoyed. But anyways, catch you same bad place, same bad time. Vanguard out.
I know you acting like I didn't turn this off a while ago.